Did you miss this? Heat 1. Chris blows. He is on the inside here. Raw. Not only does he get the whole shot, but did you see it? Here, I'll back it up. He's out front. Watch his front end. It does not disengage from the hole shot device. Should have over this roller transition bump. Doesn't disengage. Over the next double. Should have disengaged. Doesn't disengage. It's not until the third transition, the bottom of the G out of that tabletop, where the bike finally decides to disengage right there. That shows you how incredibly low they have these bikes coming off the crates. If you don't believe me, look at Eli Tomac's bike. You need Wreck-It Ralph to get the hole shot button to engage. Look at how far down that is. There's, not even a pecker distance there. You're talking like 2.2 inches. I just have to say thank you. You are watching Creative Lines and Techniques, brought to you by PureMoto.com. Here's a fun one. You have a speed check bump across the start into a double, then a step over, and finally a triple into a left-hander. We've got Thrasher in third place here, where he opts to roll his hips and seed bounce just to get a couple extra inches, because it's all about those inches, to get over the taller middle obstacle. And then you've got Jordan Smith and Deegan behind, who opt just to lift the front end and blip the throttle to wheel tap. Arguably, it's hard to tell which one is faster. I will have to say that the wheel tap is always a cooler looking technique. The ruts were so sketch, hence why a lot of riders were choosing that 110 so they could deflect and be able to pick one. We saw Tom Vial. He didn't even go off the track, but just because of the ruts, this was in his heat and nobody really caught it. But you could see how much it just deflected. It almost looked like he hit the tough block, but instead it was just deflecting off of all those different ruts. If he was to let off the gas, he would have went down. But these riders pin it to win it, and they just hold their eyes closed, and they're either going to crash harder or the bike is going to find a line, find a rut, and it's going to keep them on top. And I hate to say this, but Jeremy Martin in the main event, who in the hell would have decided that doubling the whoops would have been the fastest line? You've got Anstein freaking out back here like, whoa, what's going on? And then little man Jay Martin is just doubling, and it looks incredibly clean, raw, and consistent. And that's what this track required, was consistency, especially because the ruts. And a lot of guys don't understand, like, potentially going down the middle. Why would you go down in the middle? Because it looks like the deepest one. Well, it's the most defined line. Look at all these other ruts. They're taking you all different directions, where the main V is so deep. It's like being stuck on rails. You're going to be able to stay in it. It's just more consistent. It might be a little bit slower, but it's more consistent. And that's one of the reasons why you saw Webb and you saw Roczen continuing to go down that middle line. And one thing that people don't understand is what separates the contenders versus the pretenders is the transitions, landing in the middle of these things. If you've ever jumped and you have ruts that you have to land into and pick a line, it's incredibly intimidating. But these guys are able to just see through it, and the bike will pick one, and they have just spent thousands of hours defining their craft to where it doesn't intimidating them anymore. Where a lot of riders, when they land into a transition like this, they will just slam on their brakes because they're not sure how the bike is going to react. But these guys have full confidence to land in a rut and haul ass, keep it WFO to make sure that they are going to clear the next obstacle. This is the most intimidating thing about the track. The track itself was actually pretty easy, the layout, but the dirt and the ruts in between the transitions made this incredibly difficult. I am not sure that there's anything more intimidating than trying to find the right rut. Well, We've all been there before, trying to find a part we need with it being in stock, not on back order. Don't fret. Just head over to my buddies at puremoto.com. Use their local parts finder. Search over 1 million parts currently in stock and over 160 online retailers. You just use the SKU number and boom, populates who has it in stock. Give them a call. Let them know that you need it overnight shipped to you and you are done. Make sure you do all your part shopping at puremoto.com. And that is the number one reason why you saw riders take slower lines, because they are more consistent. Here, this is the 250 main, but all the 450s, a good majority of them, and the eventual winner, Ken Roczen, was using the same line. This is actually a triple single before the whoops. But Max and Roczen were going double, triple, double because it was more consistent. Because when you triple, you're landing in a transition of all these gnarly ruts, and it's harder to stay consistent, even though it's a faster line. But watch Max, as he seat bounces, he'll shift up, which I presume is third gear, because he's not going to have enough time to shift again, because he's going to be rolling through the corner, and he keeps his feet on the pegs to go rot through the whoops. Then moving after the whoops, we have Ken Roczen opting to seat bounce over the step on, step off. Why? Because it's just cleaner. It's smoother. Not many riders are doing this, so there's less ruts here. Where Cooper is, the line kept going more and more to the inside because the outside got so rutted. And this is where Sexton went down and made a mistake. It was the line before, but he ended up on top of here. And that's why these guys decided to take these different lines, is because there's a cleaner transition here. Not necessarily because it's faster, but because it's more consistent. And this might be a little bit off topic of creative lines and techniques. However, it's interesting to point out that you've got Cooper Webb and Ken Roczen. This was in the heat where Webb was just playing it safe all night long, which isn't like him. He got passed by Kenny and Barcia almost identically through the whoops here, where he could have pushed the issue. But do you see him turning his wheel right here? He has given up the line, and he's making sure that he's not going to run it in to Kenny, which is a rider playing it safe, which is something we don't usually see from Cooper. And this might be why he's got the points lead, is because he knows when to hold them or fold them, as some poker players would say. And in the main event, we saw him run into Barcia, and he gives it up. He gives it up, where he could have easily pushed harder, which is something that we would normally see from Webb, but he decided to give Barcia the line, which is very, very interesting. If you've made it this far, I sincerely appreciate every single one of you. There's been a subscriber bump, and it's all thanks to you, the moto community. So thank you for sticking around. Till next time, keep it WFO. Barada-da-da-da-whoa.